Hi guys, it's Chris Lee here, the team leader of Sydney Catholic Youth. Here we are on day 5 of our journey of consecrating ourselves to St. Joseph. When I was reading over the reflection in the book, one of the words that stuck out to me was docility, so docile. And when I was thinking about that and reflecting about it, it was something which was really interesting because docile isn't something that we think about when it comes to our spiritual lives. We think about mission, evangelization, quiet time or prayer, all that kind of other stuff. But docile stuck out to me because when I was thinking about it, when I think about the word docile, I think something that's slow, something that might be a little bit lazy. But when we actually look up what the word docile means, which is what I did, is that the dictionary definition is the quality of being quiet and easy to influence or persuade. So in the book, they're talking about the ability to be able to be docile to the movement of the Holy Spirit in our lives. And that's something that we think is super easy because we can think sometimes, what does that mean? Does that mean that I just need to be quiet and be able to be reflective? But in the world we live today, we know that as people of faith, that can actually be very, very hard. I was actually thinking about C.S. Lewis's quote in the Screwtape Letters where he talks about how if you can't make them... so the Screwtape Letters is the story about one demon teaching another demon how to be a better demon. And there's this quote in there where the older demon says to the younger demon, he says to him, if you can't make them bad, make them busy. So the kind of idea that in the world that we live today is that it's just filled with noise and busyness. So the ability to be able to pull back and to be quiet, to be silent, can actually be very, very difficult for a lot of people. So if we look at our world, most people probably aren't bad people. They're just very busy, so they don't have the time to be able to discern what God might be asking of them for their life, okay? And when we link that to the idea of docility, so the actual virtue that it might be, of the ability to be docile and to be able to be persuaded, comes down to the ultimate idea of surrender, to know that there's something bigger than us in our lives, and to be able to surrender that and to be ready to be able to receive where the Holy Spirit may be guiding us through our lives. So the task to be able to be docile and to be able to grow in that virtue really requires willpower, which is probably a bit different to what the meaning of docile means. So the willpower and the kind of conviction to be able to set aside that time, to be able to do the examination of conscience, but also to be able to develop that time of prayer, to be silent, and to be able to reflect on your life and see where the Holy Spirit's moving, so that you may be able to bring yourself in union with Christ more freely and more faithfully. If we look at the life of St. Joseph, it was talking there that he didn't do anything that wasn't pleasing to the Holy Spirit. Okay, it wasn't pleasing to God the Father, or it wasn't pleasing to the will of Christ. So if we think about our own lives in light of what St. Joseph did, who was probably a young man who was protecting the Holy Family and probably had all these different things that he could have been able to achieve in his life, but he knew that God was asking him for a very specific mission. Okay. So what ends up happening is if we're not docile, if we're not allowing ourselves to become quiet, we end up going off in all these different paths and following our own will, but we're not actually in touch with what the Holy Spirit is moving and is guiding us to be able to achieve. So that's one thing. The second part was, at the end of it, Father Donald was talking about how we can't be St. Joseph, but we can be another Joseph. And I remember a really beautiful quote in a homily once, which took me a bit by surprise, where one of the priests said, you know, Jesus isn't calling you to be St. Teresa of Avila, St. Francis of Assisi, St. Ignatius of Loyola. He's asking you to be you. And to be able to be you, you have to be like him. So allowing that and being able to grow through the virtue of St. Joseph and all the virtue of the saints, but also acknowledging that for you to be truly you, you need to keep your eyes focused on Christ, so that you may be able to be free, to be able to kind of really embrace the identity and the mission that Christ has pulled you out to be, okay? So read about the saints, and St. Joseph is an amazing saint, but ultimately Christ is calling you to be you, and by doing that you need to be able to follow him, okay? So that's my sharing for today. God bless, and good luck with the next few days.